This is not a story about mystery or shock. It is a story about endurance. Some lives unfold quietly, carrying weight that is never obvious from the outside. This is one of those lives. My name is Alyssa. I was born into a world that never quite felt like it had room for me. From a young age, I struggled with a feeling I couldn't name at the time, a sense of being misplaced, like I was always trying to fit into something that wasn't shaped for me. There were moments I felt invisible, and other moments when I felt too visible in the wrong ways. Growing up in Pensacola, Florida, my life looked ordinary to most people. We were a family that showed up, smiled when required, and kept personal matters private. But behind that appearance was a reality that shaped me deeply and permanently. I learned early that safety is not guaranteed simply because you are young, or because you are quiet, or because you trust. There were experiences in my childhood that crossed boundaries no child should ever have to understand. They happened more than once, and not by the same person. I don't share those details for sympathy, and I don't share them to define myself by them. I share them because they are part of the truth of how I became who I am. What surprises people most is that I never grew to hate men. I never painted everyone with the same brush. I learned instead that people are individuals, capable of both harm and change. That belief didn't protect me from being hurt again later in life, but it kept my heart from becoming bitter. As I got older, I hoped love would feel different. I hoped it would feel safe. It didn't. Every relationship I entered seemed to follow a similar pattern: respect given sparingly, honesty offered late or not at all, and care withdrawn the moment it required effort. I never met a man who truly treated me gently. I never met one who stayed honest or consistent. Over time, the message became familiar: I was tolerated, not valued. Still, I forgave. Not because the pain was small, but because forgiveness felt lighter than carrying resentment. I believed people could grow, even when they didn't grow with me. At 19, my life changed again when I became a mother. My son, Eli, arrived without perfect timing or ideal circumstances. His father disappeared quietly, leaving no explanation and no support. There was no dramatic exit, just absence. And yet, the moment I held my son, something shifted inside me. For the first time, my life wasn't only about surviving. It was about responsibility, purpose, and love that didn't require me to earn it. When Eli was 6 months old, I returned to school. I enrolled at a state university nearby, determined to create a future that would give us stability. I studied while tired, while worried, while adjusting to motherhood. I believed effort would eventually meet opportunity. Then my father became ill. His health declined quickly, and with it, our family's only steady income. Medical expenses replaced tuition payments. My financial aid wasn't enough to cover everything, and there was no one to step in and help. I made the difficult decision to leave school. People later called it quitting. They didn't see the nights spent choosing between food and fees, or the weight of responsibility that came with being both a daughter and a mother. Leaving school wasn't giving up, it was prioritizing survival. That period taught me what poverty really feels like. Not just hunger, but the quiet humiliation of needing help and not receiving it. The exhaustion of pretending everything is fine when it isn't. The pain of being judged by people who never asked what it cost to keep going. What hurt most was knowing that help existed within my extended family. They were financially comfortable, some even wealthy, but they chose distance instead of compassion. They judged us instead of supporting us. That experience taught me a lesson I still carry: money does not equal generosity, and family does not always mean safety. Still, I believed, firmly, that where I came from would not determine where I ended up. Life didn't get easier overnight. In fact, it found new ways to test me. Online, strangers felt free to comment on my life, my choices, my worth. Cyberbullying became another layer of pressure, another reminder that people are often kinder in private than they are behind screens. Surprisingly, those experiences didn't silence me. They strengthened my voice. I learned to stand up for myself, calmly and firmly. I learned that defending your truth doesn't require anger, it requires clarity. There were moments, during the hardest years, when exhaustion turned into dark thoughts. Not a desire to disappear, but a deep weariness, a wondering whether life would be simpler without me in it. Those thoughts scared me, but they didn't define me. Because every time I looked at my son, I remembered why I stayed. He reminded me that presence matters. That love can exist without conditions. That every situation, no matter how heavy, has its own expiration date. Today, I don't describe myself as a victim. I acknowledge what happened to me without allowing it to own me. I am a woman who endured. A mother who chose to stay. A person still becoming. My life has not been easy, but it has been real. I have learned that strength is not loud, and resilience is not glamorous. Sometimes it simply looks like waking up and trying again. This is not a story about tragedy. It is a story about continuation. And this is who I am. This story is based on real experiences. But the truth inside it belongs to more than one person. If it sounds familiar, it's because survival has many faces. And some of them are still standing. Quietly and imperfectly. If you've been through something similar, I'd really appreciate any advice or words of encouragement you're willing to share. Please be kind, this story was shared with honesty. And if you are struggling too, know that you're not alone.